This is another example of setting up a double integral to find volume given a verbal description. So the verbal description in here is to find the volume of the region bounded by the surface z equals 5 sine x sine y, and below by the rectangle. These are the bounded regions here for the rectangle, which is 0 is less than or equal to x, less than or equal to pi over 6, and 0 less than or equal to y, less than or equal to pi over 3. Okay, so we're going to set up our integral 5 sine x sine y dA. Okay, for the dA, we could pick between dx dy or dy dx. Last video I did dx dy. This video I'm going to do dy dx, which means that the inner boundary would be the boundaries of y. So the upper boundary of y is pi over 3, lower boundary is 0, and the boundaries of x would be pi over 6 and 0. Now we are going to evaluate this integral like how we would evaluate any other integrals, any other double integrals. So we would separate the two. We have pi over 3 and 0, 5 sine x sine y dy, and then dx on the outside. Evaluate this. We have pi over 6, 0. Okay. The integral of sine is negative cosine. So we're evaluating this, integrating this in terms of in respect to y. Therefore, other variables will be regarded as constant. Therefore, this is a constant, and this is what we're going to integrate. So we are left with 5 sine x, and then integral of sine y is negative cosine y dy dx. Okay. Next step is plug in the boundaries. So the boundaries is between pi over 3 and 0. Therefore, if we evaluate this, you get 5 sine x negative cosine pi over 3 minus negative cosine 0. Plug negative cosine pi over 3 into a calculator, you get negative 1/2. And plug negative cosine 0, you get negative 1. Don't forget the negative right here. Okay, so negative 1/2 minus negative 1 is same thing as negative 1/2 plus 1. You get 1/2. 1/2. Therefore, this whole thing is 1/2. I'm just gonna erase this. Bring up the 1/2 right here. This is your simplified outer integral. Okay. Now, we could take out 5 over 2. So if we do that, we'll be left with sine x dx. The integral of sine is negative cosine. Therefore, 5 over 2 negative cosine x. Plug in the boundaries, pi over 6 and 0. You will then have negative cosine pi over 6 minus negative cosine 0, which if you put it in a calculator, negative cosine pi over 6 will give you negative square root of 3 over 2 minus negative cosine 0, give you negative 1. So negative square root of 3 over 2 over 2 plus 1, because negative times a negative, is 2 minus square root of 3 over 2, okay? This is not your answer, by the way, because you are going to have to multiply it by 5 over 2. Therefore, bring it here, multiply it by 5 over 2. Plug this into a calculator. 5 over 2 times 2 minus square root of 3, all of that over 2. You will then have 10 minus 5 square root 3 over 4. And although this is the correct answer, you need to rewrite it. So you have 5 square root of 3 plus 2 over 4. This will be your answer. These two are the same thing, but we're just factoring out the 5. And there you go.